Breaking news right now. Iran's ambassador to the United Nations slamming the latest U.S. sanctions, saying that Tehran will not accept dialogue with the United States while it is under the threat of sanctions. Joining us now to discuss is Rebecca Grant, a national security analyst. So, what do you think about that? Do you think they had lunch planned over there at the UN? I am joking, but in a serious sense, was there dialogue going on? Wasn't that kind of the problem of how we got to this point?
Exactly. That is party line. They've said they don't want to talk to the U.S. They told the German foreign minister they didn't really want to talk either. And that tells you, Melissa, that these sanctions are really hurting. This is a super tough new round of sanctions.
Yeah. The president has said that he wants to talk. I heard other critics all around the dial saying that they wish he would lean more on diplomacy and less on threats and sanctions. The Prime Minister of Japan, though, was over meeting in Tehran at the time when his tanker was attacked by mines. So they were sending a clear message at that point. Supposedly, the Prime Minister was carrying a message that the United States wanted to talk. Do you think that was the case? And what does any of that tell you?
That's correct. They were very unkind, and Prime Minister Abe sadly made no progress with Iran. And what I see President Trump doing is he is leaning forward on all the levers of power, the maximum financial pressure, keeping the military presence up, and he's also leaning on diplomacy. He says he'll talk anytime, so that offer remains on the table. But for now, these new targeted sanctions are really having a strong impact, I think.
The latest ones, I was wondering, were these people not part of the sanctions before? I mean, when you talk about the higher up in the IRGC or even the Supreme Leader himself, we've had all these sanctions on for so long. Were they immune from them before?
Yeah, this is different. Now, you're right. There is a pile of sanctions on Iran and some on, for example, the Quds Force commander Soleimani. But what this new round did was it took the 5 admirals, their boss, and the Air Force general in Iran who were responsible for the tanker hits and the shooting down of the drone, and it hit directly at their finances and bank accounts. So in Iran, they're military, they're diplomats, but they're also in business. They're in construction, they sell weapons, kind of like the Chinese. So you can hit their admirals and generals with financial sanctions, and that's what this brilliant round from the Treasury just did.
But why were they immune to that before? I mean, weren't people not supposed to be buying and selling arms with Iranians before this? I mean, it sounds like the things that you outlined were things that they weren't supposed to be able to do before. Were they doing it, as part of a deal with another country, or how is this still going on?
So what has been sanctioned before are a lot of the companies and entities, but there may be various shell corporations. So Treasury has really dug deep to find literally the finances and bank accounts of named and targeted individuals. And the administration has been ratcheting those up over the last year or so and hitting these particular officers who are responsible for the mischief and the dangerous air and naval activity is a super new move. It goes directly to their personal financial status. That's what's new in these sanctions.
So the president's critics say basically that he's responsible for all of these events, that when he took away the Iran nuclear deal, that's when the sanctions were imposed. That's when the Iranians started to react, basically because they were angry that America had walked away. So they say he's created a crisis that now he wants credit for trying to solve. How do you respond to that? Is that accurate criticism?
Nah, I see it a little bit differently. Iran ramped up its mischief starting in 2015. Syria, the Cold War with Saudi Arabia, their terrible activities in Yemen, and then their long-term support. I mean, this is a country that fought a very bloody war with Iraq. This is what they do. That's part of their strategy. I think Iran would like the world to believe that it's President Trump's fault, but in fact, he's shown a lot of military restraint, and it's Iran who is responsible for escalating the military actions in the Gulf, and I suspect they may go another step or two further.
Rebecca Grant, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.